Please like this video. It will really help this story reach as many people as possible. Thank you so much for your support. At 6 on the dot, Willow Street was quiet in that particular Maplewood way, like the whole block had stepped outside to hold its breath. I unlocked the door and walked into silence. No TV, no kettle, no music. Just the zipper of a suitcase and the kind of order you only see in hotel closets and locker inspections. Claire was kneeling by the bed, stacking clothes into perfect towers, shirts aligned, socks nested, everything folded like she'd measured it with a ruler. She didn't look up. "Where are you headed?" I asked, steady voice, keys still in my hand. "I want a divorce." Like she was reading a label. I set the keys in the bowl and watched her fit a pair of jeans against the side of the suitcase to check the thickness. That's one way to open a conversation. There isn't a conversation. She reached for the charger from my nightstand without asking. "There's a decision." You pick a great week for decisions. I took the charger back, coiled it, slid it into my pocket. Investors passed. We're cutting costs. You knew that when you texted, "Do we need milk?" at 3 and didn't wait for an answer. "I'm not doing this," she said, crisp. "I'm done carrying it." "You were never carrying it." I nodded toward the suitcase. "That I did. Student loans, paid. Your studio, funded for 3 years. You asked for time to build a client base. I gave it. I need someone with potential, Ethan. Not someone gripping a dead idea." "Is there someone?" I asked. You paused. That was a yes in every language I know. "No." She clipped the word and looked at the dresser instead of at me. "I'm choosing my life." She zipped the suitcase, stood, and faced me with that centered chin she used when she wanted to look taller. She wheeled the bag to the hallway. In the quiet, the sound of the wheels on the hardwood was too loud. "You're walking out when my account barely floats payroll," I said. Not romantic, but honest. "I'm not your safety net." She grabbed her coat from the hook. "I can't live inside your gamble anymore." "Then don't." I opened the door for her. "Take the car. The white one is more reliable in winter." Her eyes flicked. "You're not going to beg?" "Not my style," I told her. "One question, though." "Why now?" "Because I'm tired of everything falling apart," she replied. "I need to put myself next to something that works." The wheels hummed over the porch seam. She walked to the car without turning back. I stood in the doorway until the garage door closed. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have brewed coffee instead of staring at the wall. But then again, the coffee would have gone cold. And some endings don't need warmth. They need distance. I sat on the couch in the dark and took inventory like a grown man does. This wasn't about love or fights. It was about not wanting to carry the cost of standing next to me while I fought through the ugly middle. She was opting out of consequences, not out of marriage. That's a different kind of exit. I slept maybe 2 hours. At 8, I drove to the office on the industrial strip in Oak Creek where the landlord had a collection of lawn ornaments and a habit of reminding me that the plow guy didn't work for charity. Marcus was in by 9 with his messenger bag and the whistle he always had when he pretended not to be nervous. We'd started the company in my garage, then split a storefront, then a proper lease. He ran sales, I ran product. We took turns lying to each other about how close we were. He was already at the whiteboard, wiping paths with his sleeve. The roadmaps we'd mapped were ghosts, faint lines under smear. "You're early," I said. "Got a thing later." He didn't look at me. "I'm cashing out." "You're what?" "I'm selling my share." He finally turned. "No hard feelings. I got an offer from a fintech shop. They actually pay. Salary. Bonus. Stability. You have 72 hours notice in the agreement," I replied. "You know that." "I'll honor the notice," he said. "I'm not a monster. You want me to throw you a cupcake?" He laughed. "Small. Come on, man. We both see the runway. You can barely keep nights on in this place." "Then take your share and go." I dragged a chair to the table. "I'll draft the paperwork. You'll sign. We're done." He blinked at how fast I said it. He expected a pitch or a plea. He got neither. "You're not going to talk me out of it?" he asked. "I'm done talking people into staying in rooms where they don't want to be," I said. "Pack your desk. Keep your laptop here. It's company property. I'll back up your files right now." "That's cold, Ethan." "No," I answered. "That's clean." He watched me open my MacBook and start an export. He didn't say thanks. He also didn't argue. By noon, the place felt hollow. I met payroll with what was left in the account and sent a note to the 3 clients who still took my calls. We're consolidating. You'll see me personally on your tickets. No drama. Just facts. At 5, Claire texted, I'll come by to get the rest tonight. Please be out. You can have the house, I sent back. And the car. I'll take whatever's left of the business. Let's not be dramatic, she replied. It's not drama, I typed. It's division. I set the key under the planter like always and drove to Tony's place across town. Tony's a contractor who thinks in terms of weight ratings and load charts and never asks many questions until a beer loosens the hinges. He opened before I knocked. You look like you lost a bar fight with a spreadsheet. Close. You're staying, he said, not asking. Couch folds out. Don't worry, I washed the sheets last year. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the story. Generous. I toss my bag by the hallway chair. I pay rent. Pay me when one of your apps buys this block, he said, flipping the game on mute. I like the stock market sound better anyway. I slept like a man who'd swallowed gravel. In the morning, I shaved with a disposable in Tony's tiny bathroom and thought about dignity. Not the kind you wear, the kind you practice. Claire's attorney sent the meeting invite. I accepted, showed up in a press shirt, and sat in a conference room with windows that looked at other windows. Claire took the far end. Her hair was pulled back like she was getting sworn in. No ring. No small talk. We'll keep this simple. I opened. House and car to Claire. Business to me. I keep the debts tied to it. We're done. Her attorney blinked. You're waiving your interest in the marital home and vehicle? Yes. Spousal support, he tested. No. Future claims to profits from the business? He added, hopeful. Those are mine, I said. Past, present, future. Whatever's left. Claire spoke for the first time. Ethan, this is more than fair. We can revisit later. No revisits, I cut in. This is final. The attorney shuffled paper. We can draft this today. Do it, I said. I have a job to build. Claire watched me sign as if she was waiting for me to flinch. I didn't. In the hallway, she caught up. You don't want to talk this through? We just did, I told her. That's it. That's it. She touched my sleeve and then took her hand back like she'd burned herself. I didn't want it to go this way. Yeah, I said. That's the thing about exits. They're not about what we want. They're about where we're willing to stand. I walked to the elevator and didn't look back. 2 weeks living on friends' couches is 2 weeks of learning exactly how much you track by routine. Toothbrush on the wrong side of the sink, coffee maker with a mind of its own, socks that never dry the same way. People think it breaks you. It didn't. It stripped me down to the things that mattered: work ethic, spine, and people who show up. On a Thursday, after another day of emails that went nowhere, I scrolled my contacts and stopped on the name I'd avoided. Lily Hart. Claire's younger sister. Elementary art teacher in Riverton. Funny, practical, allergic to drama. I texted. Got a minute? She called instead. You finally ran out of pride? I ran out of couches, I told her. That tracks. I heard a class bell in the distance. I have a couch. It's not fancy. It's clean. You can have coffee and quiet. I don't do pep talks. I don't need pep. I need oxygen. Good, she replied. I don't do resuscitation either. 5:30. Back door. Take your shoes off. My floor squeaks. Her place was a small rental near the river with a dozen plants and exactly 2 pictures on the wall. Kids' art, framed like museum pieces. She handed me a mug and pointed at the couch. No pity parties, she said. You work at my table. You wash your dishes. You don't touch my stash of dark chocolate, or we fight. Reasonable, I replied. She looked at me for a second too long. You hungry? I've been living on truck stop sandwiches. I have coupons, she said deadpan. Don't test me. We fell into a rhythm. I woke before 6, brewed coffee, and opened my laptop at her kitchen table. She left at 7:15 with a tote full of glue sticks and patience. Came back at 4 with paint on her sleeve and stories about a kid named Blake who drew robots with perfect eyes. I bought groceries. She used coupons and mocked the store brand like it had personally offended her. We didn't talk about Claire unless Lily brought it up, which she almost never did. One evening, she set a plate in front of me and sat across with a pile of papers. This isn't heroics, she said. You'll pay me back when you're filthy rich again. I appreciate the confidence. Not confidence, she said. Math. You work harder, Matt. She wasn't wrong. Anger can be a bad fuel, but discipline makes it clean. I rebuilt the product into 3 smaller tools and went after logistics clients, warehouses with barcode messes, dispatchers who were drowning in spreadsheets. I wrote docs that sounded like humans. I answered support emails at 2 in the morning with solutions, not apologies. A small outfit in Joliet bit first, then a second in Aurora, then 6 in places people spell wrong. Nothing glamorous. Just invoices paid on time and a line on the balance sheet that didn't make me feel like I was pretending. I kept boundaries like a ritual. Claire texted twice in those early weeks. First one landed on a Sunday night. Are you okay? I'm fine, I answered. Focus on your things. I'm focusing on mine. Maybe we should talk, she replied. About what? I typed. Closure. We closed. She sent a thumbs up and a picture of the dog we had for 6 months from a rescue that didn't like my backyard fence. We didn't get another, and I deleted the photo. Mid-turn. A soft tap against my line. It didn't move. The second try came after I posted about the new clients. Not shouting. Just an update for people still in my corner. Congrats, she wrote. I always knew you'd get there. Good to know, I replied. Distance intact. It wasn't all grace on my side either. I had moments where I wanted to drive past Willow Street just to see if the porch light was on. I didn't. That's how you lose a hand. You think you can take a peek and keep your fingers. Business grew like a line, not a curve. Enough to breathe, not enough to brag. I learned to like that pace. When the Joliet client extended for a full year, I booked a table on a rooftop in the city with string lights and a view of other people's expensive evenings. Lily wore a simple dress and boots that said she might fight you if you spilled. Big spender, she teased, taking in the view. I brought coupons, I told her. She smiled, a real one. You don't have to impress me, Ethan. I know. That's why I asked you anyway. We ate. We talked about nothing and everything. I told her I'd slept for the first time in months. She told me about a kid who'd drawn a perfect cube without using a ruler. Halfway through dessert, with the city glinting like dish soap, I said it. I love you. No theater. Just reality. She didn't blink. Took you long enough. She reached across and covered my hand. You sure? Yeah. Then I'm in, she said. My phone buzzed with a name I hadn't seen in weeks. Claire, we need to talk. Urgent. I looked at Lily. She raised an eyebrow. If you get up right now, I'm eating your dessert. I texted back. Another time. I'm on a date. Harsh, Lily said. Accurate, I answered. We paid. We walked to the car. My phone vibrated again, another message, then a call. I silenced it. We were a block from the garage when a third alert lit the screen. I'm coming by the office. Your office? Lily asked. She still thinks it's ours. I unlocked the car. I'll handle it. We drove to Oak Creek. The building smelled like dust and victory in equal measure. I unlocked the door and hit the lights. Claire was already inside, sitting at the edge of a chair like she wasn't sure if she was welcome. She looked smaller, not because she'd shrunk, because I'd grown. Lily leaned against the staircase rail and folded her arms. Claire glanced at her, then back to me. It was Marcus, Claire said. No greeting. No warming up. I should have told you sooner. I kept my voice level. Told me what? He was talking to me during the worst weeks. He said you were lost, that you'd stalled. He offered to look at your pipeline, just to help. He said he could point your prospects to a partner that could stabilize things. She swallowed. He used my access. I let him. I didn't think it would matter. So he siphoned leads, I said, into a shell company. She winced. I didn't mean. Stop, I cut in. Don't rehearse it. Just answer. Did you give him access to my clients? Yes. A whisper. And did those clients get emails from a group that sounded like us, but wasn't? Yes. Lily didn't move, didn't jump in. She knew I didn't need rescue. I told myself it was temporary, Claire added. He said he'd fold them back when you got your feet under you. People aren't folding chairs, I replied. She looked down at her hands. I'm sorry. Maybe you are, I said. But apology doesn't rewind. I didn't plan. Claire, I kept it tight. If you need a softer ear, you're in the wrong building. She put a hand to her temple, then looked at Lily like she was surprised Lily wasn't flaring. Lily met her eyes with the flat stare of a person who can outweigh children and thieves. I need 2 days, I told Claire. For what? She asked. To decide what to do with what you just said. You could let it go, she tried. Could, I said. Won't. She stood quickly. I was scared. I was broke, I answered. Good night. She left without slamming the door, which is its own kind of slam. I locked up. Lily stayed quiet until we reached the car. You okay? She asked. I'm focused. On what? On not confusing restraint with weakness. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a name. I'm calling Harper. Harper Knox. Lily asked. The one from Nate's Cookout. She reads contracts like poems and hates shortcuts. I said. Exactly the person for this. Harper picked up on the second ring. If this is about sponsoring a 5K, I'm retired from that life. It's about siphon leads and a shell company, I told her. You available in the morning? I like how you frame it, she said. Come in at 9. Bring anything you have. Bring the person who saw it happen if she's willing. She is, I said. And Claire's not invited. Good, Harper replied. I don't do audience. We met Harper in a third-floor office with plants that looked like they'd been trained to listen. I laid out logs, emails, timestamps, and the access Claire had used. Harper asked tight questions and wrote answers in a hand that looked like a machine. So your co-founder ran dual billing through a proxy and used your spouse's access to redirect prospects, she summarized. He did it while negotiating his exit. That's what it looks like, I said. It's what it is, she corrected, tapping one log line. And this, she flipped to a page, is the kind of thing that gets behavior adjusted. You're ready for that. I'm ready for accountability, I told her. Not show, just consequence. We'll file the necessary notices and call the right people, she said. No theatrics. No noise. This isn't personal. It's operational. Works for me. She took point. We didn't splash it online. We didn't leak. We followed the line. Documentation, notice, hearing. Claire gave a statement that filled the gaps Harper couldn't fill with logs alone. Marcus tried to spin it as misunderstanding. Logs don't misunderstand. I spoke when I had to, slow and exact. This isn't payback, I said in that room where decisions stick to shoes. It's responsibility. He took what wasn't his and tried to sell it back to me on a different letterhead. I'm not angry. I'm finished. The decision landed like a stamp. Marcus owed compensation. He was blocked from chasing my clients for a long time, and the license he used to operate got paused. He started without me. He ended without me. Calls started to return. Clients who'd been confused by similar-sounding names and email addresses came back because I didn't beat my chest about the result. I just picked up the phone. We're back. Here's how we'll prevent that slippage. You'll get weekly reporting. My cell is the emergency line. Does Wednesday work? They said yes, mostly. The ones who didn't, I didn't chase. You don't feed on resentment. You feed on systems. Claire texted a week later. I heard. No exclamation. I'm glad it worked out. Me too, I replied. You're not going to say thank you. She prodded a few hours later. For what? I wrote back. Helping. You didn't help me. I typed. You told the truth about yourself. That's different. She didn't reply. Growth is a quiet companion. It doesn't high-five you. It just grinds with you and lets your shoulders loosen over time. Lily and I settled deeper. I moved off the couch without fanfare when she told me to stop being a guest in a house I was paying to heat. We split chores like adults. She gave me space to work late when a warehouse deployment went sideways. I fixed a loose cabinet door without a speech. On a Saturday, I took her to a small jewelry shop on a side street. No velvet salesman, no fancy glass. Just a simple ring in a small box and a question on the sidewalk. You sure? She asked, eyes on mine. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the story. Yeah, I said. Because you didn't wait for the scoreboard to flip. You stood next to me when it looked ugly. That's the time that counts. She nodded once. Then yes. We planned a small ceremony in a friend's backyard for late summer. Nothing to impress anyone. Just people who'd carried boxes and made coffee. The day before I picked up the jacket I'd bought because Lily told me I look less dangerous in blue. Claire showed up on the porch with that careful face she used when she wanted to negotiate with fate. It was a Sunday. I was drinking coffee and running through the week in my head. Lily had gone to the store for groceries and a new paint set for her class. Claire didn't step onto the porch. She stood on the walkway and lifted a hand halfway like she was checking for force fields. 5 minutes, she asked. 4, I said. She exhaled like that was a kindness. I'm sorry for the way I left. And for what I let happen after. I was scared and I wanted order. Marcus said you were lost, and he had a plan. I wanted to believe there was a way to make everything neat. I chose wrong. Agreed, I said. She looked past me into the living room, not finding a hook. I loved you. Maybe, I said. But love isn't an excuse to walk out the minute it costs you status. I want another chance, she said. We could start clean. You're doing well now. We're different people. I took a sip of coffee and set it down. No. You won't even think about it? She asked. I have thought about it, I told her. Your timing is perfect. Again. She flinched like the word had weight. That's not fair. It's fair, I corrected. It's just not comfortable. Tension sat there for a beat between us, old and familiar. Claire, I said, not unkind. This part of my life is over. The truth about Marcus, about the leads, doesn't erase the choice you made when I needed a partner, not a critic. I don't hate you. I don't celebrate you. I'm done with you. Tears didn't come. Not from her. Not from me. That's a different movie. She nodded like she was practicing surrender and took a step back. You don't owe me anything, she said. I know, I replied. That's why I'm not paying. The screen door opened behind me. Lily stepped out with a bag of groceries balanced on her hip like a shield. She looked at Claire once and then at me. You need help? She asked me. I'm good, I answered. Thanks. Claire took a breath that sounded like she'd planned a scene and couldn't find her lines. I'm glad you're happy, she offered, awkward and thin. Me too, I told her. She left without asking for a hug or a rain check. We didn't watch her car pull away. We had eggs to put in the fridge and a receipt to laugh about because Lily had knocked 50% off with coupons and stubbornness. The backyard wedding was exactly what it needed to be. Grilled chicken, lemonade, 24 people who knew our names, and a short line from me that didn't try to be poetry. Tony stood up and talked about weight ratings and how some beams carry more than they look like they can. Nate told an outrageous story about Harper at a barbecue with a paper plate that wouldn't hold. Harper pretended to be offended and then gave us a waffle maker because she said every house needs a machine for turning batter into routine. In the months after, work settled into something I'd missed, momentum without panic. We opened a small brick office in Riverton with a glass door that didn't brag and a parking lot big enough for clients' vans. I hired 2 people who didn't fake enthusiasm. Maya, who could dissect a bug ticket faster than I could ask for a screenshot, and Brian, who had run a warehouse and talked like a man who knew every kind of label printer by its groans. We built weekly checklists that weren't aspirational. We shipped improvements that mattered. I stopped chasing headlines and started measuring customer retention like it was oxygen. Because it is. Clients came back without a press release. They just showed up in my inbox. Heard you're steady now? We need a cycle count module that doesn't make our guys swear. We moved to a new space. Can you help with scanners? I didn't say, told you so. I said, Tuesday at 2. I'll drive. I bought a used pickup with a dent in the tailgate and didn't care. I saved for a house and paid in cash for a yard that needed work. Lily planted basil in raised beds and painted the kid room bright even before there was a kid to use it. We argued about normal things, whether the hallway rug should be gray or gray with a pattern, whether the neighbor's cat was smarter than both of us. She won, then I won, then we laughed and called it a draw. I ran into Marcus once in a grocery store parking lot in another town, his shirt a little cheaper, his expression the same. He pretended not to see me and then couldn't help himself. You got your win, he said. No, I said. I got my life back. He wanted to spar. I didn't feed it. I pushed my cart forward and he didn't follow. As for Claire, I hear in the way you hear things in suburbs. A friend of a friend said she'd moved to a smaller place and had a manager who made her redo reports 3 times because she wrote like she'd never had to justify a number. She posted pictures of brunches with people who laugh with their mouths, but not their eyes. Maybe that's unfair. Maybe it's exact. I don't check. If you're waiting for the part where I say I forgave everyone and found inner peace in a weekend seminar, you're in the wrong story. I didn't go soft. I went clear. Boundaries, not speeches. Schedules, not promises. Quiet wins. I keep one picture on my desk that isn't a plan or a diagram. It's the rooftop night with Lily, the string lights tangled above us like a reminder to keep things simple. On the back she wrote, "Return my coupons if you get rich." I won't. She earned interest. Sometimes I drive past Willow Street because it's on the way to a client and not because I need to check the porch light. The house looks different now. New shrubs. Painted door. Whoever lives there probably argues about the same dumb things couples argue about. They probably think they're special. Good for them. The lesson wasn't about how bad someone else can be. It was about what I do when respect leaves a room. At 6 o'clock that night, it walked out with a suitcase. I didn't chase it. I changed the locks in my head. Every guy I know has a line where he decides if he runs after approval or stands up for his own gravity. Mine showed up in a perfect stack of shirts and the hum of suitcase wheels. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't make headlines. I made rules and I enforced them, even when my hands shook after the fact. You want recovery? It looks like a kitchen table with a secondhand laptop and a woman who doesn't pity you. It looks like a simple ring in a yard that needs mowing. It looks like doing the ugly work on the days where nobody's applauding. It looks like telling the past, calmly, that chapter's over, and not reopening the book just because someone knocks. After the hearing, after the porch, after the backyard vows, Claire showed up one more time in my texts. Do you ever think we could have done it differently? I stared at it for a full minute. Then I typed, we did it the only way it could be done with what we chose, and put the phone down face first. Lily came in with a canvas she'd put in the sun to dry and asked how I felt about dinner. Hungry, I said. We cooked. We ate. We cleaned. The phone stayed face down. There isn't a moral. There's a man, a line, and a life. I didn't win a trophy. I didn't get even. I got out. I got better. And the people who bet against that had to watch from a distance they created themselves. That's enough of a finish for me. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.